Happy WrestleMania week to all, everyone. Welcome to Speak Now Pro Wrestling. It's your girl, Denise Salcedo, and it is Tuesday, April 2nd, and you guys know what time it is. It is time to talk about NXT. However, this particular edition of NXT was the go-home show into Stand and Deliver, which is taking place on Saturday, April 6th, the same day as WrestleMania Night 1, of course, in the morning, but it is shaping up. Like, honestly, the card looks pretty good. We're going to break down the card today. We're going to talk about the predictions, what we think is going to go down, and of course, go through what actually went down on today's episode of NXT. Before we get started, as always, I want to give a friendly shout out over to Sheldon Jackson, who is so generous and is keeping his DWO streak going. He's already surpassed over 50 consecutive streams of gifting memberships. And so I want to make sure to shout out Sheldon Jackson for that. So thank you so much to Sheldon. He's the man here. Heads up, guys, if you want to help support this channel, get your questions, comments, or statements read here on the stream, you are more than welcome to send in a super chat. Helps out a whole lot. But other than that, we will go ahead and get right into NXT. All right, so I'm actually really excited to talk about today's show because I thought that it went pretty good. We had lots of women's wrestling on the show today, which we kind of always do, but I feel like almost every segment had women involved. Like, you had Fallon Henley versus Jacy Jayne, that one. Then you had the Lola Vice Carmen match. Then you had the Supernova sessions, also with more women in it. You had Arianna Grace and Ren Sinclair. Then the Ruca match. That's 5 women's matches segments, and that's not even including like anything that happened backstage that I didn't mention, like at least 3 or 4 different backstage moments that we got with the women. So there was definitely like a very, very heavy female presence on the show. And there usually is, but I feel like there was a little bit more in this particular episode. Because like literally for the guys, we only had the closing segment, the triple threat match, the Lexus King Von Wagner match, the Ilya Dragunov Tony D stuff, and then, of course, the Supernova sessions because you have Noam Dar in that. So that's like literally like 4 things. And then Joe Gacy and Oba Femi. Whatever. They did a really good job today of a nice, happy, a nice show. Honestly, a nice show because there was certain things in here that I found that a lot of people got some attention. For example, I think most of us were really only expecting to see the wrestlers that are going to be on Stand and Deliver be focused here on today's show, but I felt like they actually put some light on a lot of people that aren't going to be on Stand and Deliver. So that was definitely something that I enjoyed. We also got, I think, 2 new matches added, and then we officially now know who's facing Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin. So we have quite a bit that's been added to the card here. We have Brandon Rosen, who sends in a super chat saying, Frazer and Axiom winning the #1 contenders match was quite a shock. I thought for sure the Good Brothers would win. Do you now see Braun and Corbin losing? So it was interesting because I had been saying for weeks, and I was so confident in my prediction about this. So we had the triple threat tag team match to decide the #1 contender for the NXT Stand and Deliver tag team match against Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin. So we had the LWO versus Nathan Frazer and Axiom versus the Good Brothers. Now, this match was really freaking fun. Of course, Axiom and Nathan Frazer, they went out there and did their thing. We know that Nathan Frazer is kind of getting popular for being really fast in the ring, like freakishly fast. Like, I don't even know how he does half the things that he does in terms of the speed. Now, with that being said, they were great in this match, but I really thought that the ones that stood out to me the most, the ones that I felt were truly the MVPs, even though they didn't win this match, was the LWO. Now, I feel like these guys need to get a little bit more credit because, damn, I say this every single damn time, but anytime they are on NXT, it's like you can count on them to have a good match. Like, I don't even think they're not even supposed to be NXT wrestlers, right? Like, they're main roster talent. I don't even know anymore. But like you can always count on them to go out there and have these freaking good matches to the point where I don't even know what roster they're officially a part of, but I will take them wherever they decide to put them. And like the magic that we saw between Wilde and Frazer, like they had a really nice back and forth because Wilde is the one that tends to do a lot more of the high flying stuff in LWO. And then of course Frazer with his speed. So that was really fun. Every team looked good, but I thought that the LWO really outshined here. But regardless, we are going to be seeing Frazer and Axiom now in this actual matchup. So with that being said, let's just get into the prediction for this match right now. I was not expecting to see them in this matchup here. I thought that it was going to be the Good Brothers. I was not expecting it to be them. So part of me is a little bit conflicted because as much as I like Axiom and Nathan, I just can't see them defeating this big, husky team of Braun Breaker and Baron. There is a huge size disadvantage going into this matchup, okay? Now, I don't want to be that person that's like, oh, I'm just going to completely disregard the little guy because we know that's not how things work. You can definitely have a little guy absolutely kill a big guy. But I think just given the presentation and what we've been seeing with Braun and Baron, I can't imagine seeing them necessarily lose to Axiom and Nathan Frazer. However, given the fact that Nathan Frazer and Axiom are actually a well-liked team and they are incredibly talented, I wonder if there'll be a situation where they pull a fast one or some sort of weird situation where all of a sudden we see some sort of unfolding or some disintegration between Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker. Now, I don't feel like they've teased any of that. Like, I don't feel like they've teased this like rift between them. They tend to not always see eye to eye, but I feel like that's part of the charm of this like team that these two guys have. But as we all know, Braun Breaker is a main roster star now. And so because of that, I'm sort of expecting them to just have them drop the titles to this new and exciting team because then that way Braun Breaker could be free of any obligations over to the NXT side of things. Now, unless they're just going to completely surprise us and have them retain the championships and still keep doing what they're doing. I don't know. Again, I just was a little bit thrown off by this. But I think for like my official prediction here, oh, fuck. I'm not even really too sure which direction I want to go in here because I felt very positive 1 week ago that I was going to be sitting here saying Good Brothers were going to be the new champions. And now that I think about it, why isn't it the Good Brothers? So with that being said, my gut is telling me to go with Axiom and Nathan Frazer. However, I'm going to go against that, and I'm going to go with Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin. So I'm pushing against the current this time, and I'm going with Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin to retain the tag team titles. Now, I'll probably be wrong, but honestly, I don't know. I can't really see them losing to Axiom and Nathan Frazer. We got Steven here who says, does this mean Roxanne wins on Saturday? We will get to that, my friend. We will get to that. And it'll give me time to think because there's a couple of matches here, as you guys just saw, that I'm completely undecided on here. Thank you so much, Steven, for the super chat. I appreciate it, man. Okay, so let's go ahead and rewind because I want to talk about, or actually not even rewind in this situation, fast forward. All right, let's fast forward to the closing of the show because I want to start talking about that. Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes. Now, this was fun. This was their final face-to-face match before their main event match at Stand and Deliver. Now, they have done a really good job of making this match feel big time. We were sitting here, I think last week, talking about how they did that video package where they had Randy Orton and Booker T and CM Punk really promote this match heavily. They've done a really great job of making it feel like a big deal. Like even today on commentary, they mentioned something along the lines of this being the biggest Stand and Deliver main event ever. And even Tommaso Ciampa is saying that this is going to be the best Stand and Deliver main event match ever. And so they really are pushing it that this is a match you need to watch. So the promotion of this match has been good, and it has equaled the story because the story has had people enticed. People that have been following NXT, that have been following this friendship with Carmelo and Trick, I think are pretty much engaged in the story overall. So there was some things that I thought here that were I really liked. There was two lines that I liked from Carmelo Hayes in this. One, keep in mind that we know this, like heels, they always find a way to make you they always try to change, they try to alter the version of the truth, right? They like to change it and manipulate it so that they seem like the good person, right? And so of course that's what Carmelo Hayes does. However, he basically correlated the NXT North American Championship and the NXT Championship to girlfriends. And he basically said that, let's say that these were girls, that these were our girlfriends, and you knew that I was trying to get my girl back, the NXT Championship. And instead of trying to get your girl back, the NXT North American Championship, you went around and tried to get my girl. And I'm like, damn, when you put it like that, it sounds really bad. Of course, that's not the truth, though. And it doesn't work that way when it comes to championships. And it doesn't work that way when it comes to spots on the roster, right? It does not work that way. But I still liked that Carmelo Hayes decided to use that as an example to try to make himself look good and try to make Trick Williams look bad. So I did like the creativity of that. The other one that I liked that Carmelo said, because I feel this is true. Honestly, like, there's times when we're sitting here and we're talking about like, oh, we're such big fans of this person, right? And we're so excited for this person. And oh, I can't wait to see this person become champion or whatever, right? All the time. And then all of a sudden, that person, whoever you're talking about, is no longer as hot as they once were. And what are we doing? We're talking about the next person that's got our interest. And I know it. I've seen it happen. I've done it a bunch of times where I'm so interested in one person. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, I'm not interested that much anymore. I'm on to the next person. Anyways, Carmelo Hayes told Trick Williams, like, oh, you've been hot for 6 months. Well, I've been hot for 3 months, and people here are gonna switch. Now, keep in mind, I'm not a gaming fan, so I might mess up this quote, but it was something along the lines of people are gonna switch on you like a Nintendo. Now, I know that Nintendo Switches are a thing because I've seen the commercials. Again, I'm not a gamer, but I still like that line because I got the joke. And so, anyways, he was kind of right. People do turn on people, and it's a challenge, right? You got to get people to keep cheering for you. It's very hard to be a babyface and to keep having people come for you and cheer for you and all of that. Some people do it very well. Some people struggle. That's not the case for everybody, of course, but it does happen to a lot of performers. Anyways, I thought that Carmelo Hayes kind of came strong with those two particular points, but at the end of the day, Trick Williams is the good guy. Trick Williams pointed out all of his bullshit and basically said that he was just jealous. And Carmelo Hayes did contradict himself in this promo because he said something along the lines of him trying to pave this path for Trick Williams. Like he's trying to pave this path for Trick Williams. But then at the same time, he was saying like, oh, you couldn't get the things that I could get. So I'm thinking, you can't pave this path for someone and then not let them get those same exact things. So I kind of thought that he contradicted himself on that. And since he's a heel, it kind of all works out. But this was fun. Of course, they beat the shit out of each other. Everybody comes out to try to separate them. Securities, talent, everybody, and they cannot. So this was a good promo with good verbiage coming from both sides with a nice little blow off at the end to close out the show. So I really liked what they did here with Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes. We get a super chat here from John Deller who says, do you see Carmelo ever moving up? I think so, yes. Given the fact that they've already tried him out on SmackDown, I do see him moving up. When? I don't know. I think he is moving up after Stand and Deliver. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if come Raw after Mania, he's one of the guys that is up on the roster. Like, I don't know. I just see it happening, honestly, because at this point, he's seen it, been there, done it all on NXT. And that's why I do think that Carmelo Hayes might get called up after this. And I mean, Trick Williams has got to win this match. I'm sorry. Like, I cannot not see Trick Williams get the victory here. He's hot, like Carmelo even himself pointed out. The people are interested. They've teased the moment. It has to happen now. And I think if they waited any longer, it would be a disservice. So I am expecting a brand new NXT champ. I'm sorry. I am expecting Trick Williams to win. Sorry, forgot this is not for the championship. Oh, keep forgetting this is not for the championship, which is really bad because then the championship match kind of seems a little less than when I keep forgetting. Oh, man, I feel so bad. All right. Mr. Costa says, sorry, Denise, Melo ain't saying a lie. That's his girl. Hey, man, you see it how you want to see it, but it was a good, honestly, it was a good way to sort of describe the situation, but also not being entirely truthful there, you know? Mr. Acosta, thank you so much for the super chat there. All right, so let's see what else we got here. The other thing that I want to talk about really quickly, and then I want to speed into some predictions and stuff. I want to do the predictions all together. That's why. Fallon Henley takes on Jacy Jayne. The big thing from this is really that a 6-woman tag match was made. We're going to be seeing Thea Hale, Fallon Henley, Kelani Jordan versus Jacy Jayne, Kiana James, and Izzy Dame. So that was really the big thing that came off of this. Not really much else to add. We'll talk about that later. Lexus King had a match against Von Wagner, and I have started to... Von Wagner has grown on me, and he's been growing on me now for a while. You guys know this, but I think he's also grown as a performer, and good for him. Honestly, he seems more loose now. I think when he first started, he was just a little like too, just too stiff, not really like there was nothing there. And now he just seems more relaxed, more loose. He goes out there, and I don't sigh when Von Wagner comes out anymore. Before it was gotta watch this now. I don't do that anymore. In fact, I haven't done it in a while. So that's a good thing. Von Wagner is definitely growing as a performer. Lexus King does get the win, even though Von Wagner started off this fight right away. I did enjoy that a whole lot. And I also liked the promo that he did beforehand, because Lexus King basically said that the wrestling business isn't for everybody, and he was saying that it's not for Von Wagner. It was good. He says he can't even take care of himself. Robert Stone has to take care of him. So I had fun with this match. Nothing much else to add with this, really. We had an Ilya Dragunov, Tony D'Angelo backstage segment, or rather not even backstage, to be honest. It was Ilya gets into a car with Tony's people, and they end up going to some place that's really scary. It's very dark. A bunch of people work for Tony D'Angelo. I'm not even really sure what Tony D'Angelo does. No idea. And they end up meeting in the back, and Tony D'Angelo is like sort of crushing his hand on the table. And we'll talk more about that in the predictions, but that's where we're at with what actually happened. Lola Vice and Carmen Petrovic. I gotta tell you, I really, really enjoyed this. First of all, Lola and Carmen really worked very well together. And I love that they reminded us, obviously we know that Lola has the MMA background, and because we do see Lola a little bit more, it's not something that we forget. But I kept forgetting that Carmen has that karate background. So when they mentioned it, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. You're getting karate versus MMA here in a sort of way. And I loved that. Like, I loved what they did together here. There was a moment where Lola Vice had Carmen in a full Nelson. But what was great about that was, and she wasn't just standing there holding up this full Nelson, like she just wasn't doing that. Girl was shaking this woman's head like an earthquake. And so I really just liked how mean and how nasty Lola Vice was. And Carmen looked good too. Like, considering that we don't see her wrestle as often, I thought she looked pretty good. But my favorite thing about this, by the way, was that Natty was in the corner of Carmen, And she was there helping her out. And don't forget that Natty defeated Lola Vice, like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, during an open challenge. So Lola Vice is a little salty about that. And I loved the way she won this match, because to piss off Natty, she decided to defeat Carmen with a sharpshooter. She made this woman tap with the sharpshooter, throwing it in the face of Natty. And there was something so little that happened afterwards, but it made me laugh so hard. And if you guys noticed it, I hope you did. So it was funny because Carmen's on the ground, right? She's writhing in pain from being in the sharpshooter. So Natty obviously goes to her aid and she's helping her out. And Natty's like really angry about what Lola Vice just did. And my favorite part in all of this was at no point at all did Lola Vice stop doing her little hip dance. She did not stop doing her little hip dance. She was giving Natty the dirty look while doing the hip dance. And I thought it was the funniest thing ever. So it was just funny because Natty's like super pissed and Lola's out here dancing with her hips. I don't know. Things like that make me laugh. Anyways, I really like the story that they're going with here. And I think that Natty is going to help bring out the best in Lola. And Lola is so comfortable with who she is. Like, she is not camera shy. She gets what she has to do when she goes out there. And so putting her in a story with Natty is literally like the best thing for Lola Vice. So I'm actually really interested in this story right now. We got Stephen Marchuli, who sends in a super chat saying, I see Carmelo Hayes versus Trick has the modern day HBK versus Diesel. Huh, okay, I like that comparison. Thank you so much to Stephen Marchuli, man. I appreciate it. And yes, Hugh Jayne says she's a Latina. Yeah, honestly. Yeah. All right, so Supernova sessions with Roxanne Perez and Lyra Valkyria. This was probably my favorite part of NXT. So this was really good here. And the reason that this was good was because I feel like we've heard a lot from Roxanne Perez, right? So we've had weeks of her coming out and cutting promos and basically saying that that belt, that NXT Women's Championship belongs to her, right? And she was pretty persuasive. There was a week where she came out and she did this long promo and I was sitting here going, damn, I'm buying everything that Roxanne Perez is saying. And Lyra came out and she basically pointed out all of the flawed logic in Roxanne's argument. And she basically explained to her why she isn't champion. And we know that Roxanne knows these things deep down, but because she's a heel, she's obviously not going to come out and say it. But you know who is? Lyra Valkyria is going to come out and say it. So I thought just her pointing out the flawed logic in the way that Roxanne Perez was thinking was very, very entertaining. But the physical portion of it, ooh, that was good. So Roxanne, she's been like punching and slapping people, right? Like that's kind of been her thing. She's little, but she's feisty. And so Roxanne throws a right to Lyra. Now, I didn't notice this right afterwards. I actually noticed it like way later when they showed it. But Lyra got busted open with that because afterwards her like nose was bleeding from that. But the other thing that I liked was she freaking put Roxanne through the little coffee table that they had there for the metaphor set with like candy bowls and everything. And because it's not your traditional brown table that we see in pro wrestling all the time, it was just like this little coffee table. I feel that it kind of looked worse. It looked worse because damn, we all have these little freaking coffee tables at our house. Someone puts me through my coffee table, I'm done. I'm dead. It's over. So this little setup looked really freaking cool. And so I really liked the attack that they did. The freaking roundhouse kick that Lyra did looked extra cool as well. That was another thing that she did to Roxanne. This was awesome. This looks painful and violent, and they didn't even fight that much. It was like 4 things that were done during this for the actual physical portion of it. So they did a really good job. This was the best Supernova sessions that they have ever done. I don't even remember the rest. That's how bad they were. This one was good. So the best one so far. We got a super chat here from Aston Langley, who says, I wish they had Blair win more. Well, you know what? Let's get to that actually. Let me see, where did I have this match at? Freaking Blair Davenport. And why did I not write this down? So we see Blair Davenport as she comes out and she wrestles Sol Ruca. There you go. And so Blair Davenport and Sol Ruca have this match. Now, I'll be honest with you, man. I really like Blair, but I feel that in this particular matchup, and maybe even just this particular story, Sol Ruca is the one grabbing the attention. Now, I know we're saying that Blair should win more, and I get it. But in this particular matchup, it was 100% the right call to have Sol Ruca win because, as I mentioned before Sol Ruca got injured, she had some momentum. She was going viral on social media. We know that. Unfortunately, she got injured. Okay, she comes back. She's trying to pick up some of that momentum. So this match with her and Blair, the whole time, I just kept thinking like, wow, Sol Ruca really makes everything look so flawless. I mean, she did this like one-legged springboard splash, and it was just so simple. She just made it look so easy. She so clean, so polished. She really gets creative in her matches, and you can tell. She always tries to do like little surprises, or she tweaks certain things like normal moves that we see all the time. She finds her own way to kind of add that like Sol Ruca flair to it. So I really like that. She had a really cool DDT that when I explain it, it's going to sound really hard. But if you watch her do it, you're going to be like, holy shit, that looks super easy. She literally did like a cartwheel on the rope and somehow did a DDT right off of that. So it was like all in one very flawless motion. And I don't know, I really like that, man. I really, really like that. So she gets the win. And I know, again, we want to see Blair because Blair is a very good heel. I do think she's a good heel. I think she's very easy to want to dislike. You know, some people are naturally likable. I think Blair has you just naturally want to dislike her, right? And she's so good at that. But I do feel like it's been heavily toned down where it hasn't been like when she was going out there and she was attacking all of the women. So it has kind of gone down a couple of notches. But even so, though, I just think it was the right call to have Sol Ruca get this win because she's killing it. And I can see her having this big rise. Like, I think this is going to be like I don't want to say they're new Tiffany Stratton on NXT because they're two totally different characters. But in terms of just being able to do these type of athletic maneuvers, I do think that Sol Ruca will kind of be like the new version of Tiffany Stratton on NXT. Thank you so much to Aston Langley, by the way, for the super chat. I appreciate that, man. All right, so let's keep it going. And what haven't I talked about yet? Oh, yeah, Joe Gacy versus Oba Femi. Joe Gacy was attacked by Shawn Spears before the match. And so Oba Femi basically went out there and just had a shit ton of fun beating him up. And so the match ends in a DQ. So lately what I've been noticing that they've been doing with Oba Femi is that Oba Femi, because he's this beast, man, right? He's this big, tall guy. He's very, very muscular. Like, he's beefy as beefy gets. And so what they're having him do is like, he's kind of scary. Like, you almost don't want to be in the ring with him because he beats his opponent so much and does not care. And I like that. I love that. I love that that's what they're doing with Oba Femi, where he's the guy where if you're in the ring, you're done. You're shit out of luck, bro. You're in the ring with me, I'm going to finish you. And I like that. So that's the approach that they're taking with Oba Femi, and I enjoy it. Shawn Spears versus Joe Gacy was added to the NXT Stand and Deliver card. Arianna Grace versus Ren Sinclair. This match was probably my second favorite thing on NXT today. I know. they really came out here and honestly surprised me. Now, of course, I like Ren Sinclair. Cool. I like Arianna Grace. Cool. I like both of these girls. Cool. Now, I wasn't expecting them to have as much fun as I thought that they did in this match here. I thought they did a really good job with I'll separate them. So, Ren Sinclair, she's good at the wrestling. She's very good at the wrestling. That's the part that shines the best. And so I thought she really helped Arianna look even better in the ring because Ren Sinclair, she's got some really good wrestling chops. And the only thing that I would say with Ren that we're not going to see her get to that next level yet until we see a more definitive character for Ren Sinclair. Because I think right now Ren, and they're probably just trying to workshop what her character is going to be. So they probably don't have it yet, or maybe they're just trying things out and seeing what feels natural for her. But right now she's just nice girl on the roster. That's Ren Sinclair right now. She's just nice girl on the NXT roster. So right now you have a lot of girls on NXT that have very defined characters. You know, for example, Arianna Grace. It's very clear she's this pageant beauty queen that is not she's mean. She's not what you would think a traditional pageant girl would be. Or maybe she is actually. I don't know. I've never been in the pageant world. But anyways, so the point is her character is defined, right? And you don't have that yet with Ren Sinclair. So I think that's the one thing that once she gets that and she continues to show her wrestling, I think she is definitely bound for some really great opportunities over on NXT. Now, for Arianna Grace, the thing that I was most thinking about during this match was that Arianna has a really, really good sense of when and when not to incorporate her character. So we all know that she's very good at the comedy, right? And we know she's good at the comedy skits. Now, when you have a character like this, you find wrestlers incorporating it obviously into their moveset, into what they do in the ring. Arianna does a really great job of finding the balance between wrestling and having her match, but also making sure that she is still this character. And one of the things that I love that she does is I love her selling of things. I love her selling of things because she isn't selling things like, if I got kicked in the face right now, I would just get kicked in the face and like fall and cry. Like, honestly. Now, if my character was this Arianna character, I would have a different facial expression, right? And that to me is the thing that is kind of helping Arianna move forward. Like she knows her character, and when she does anything, it shows. And so I think she did a really good job during this match with her selling and adding the character without also overshadowing. She's not overshadowing her work, because sometimes when people rely so much on the character aspect, all of a sudden it gets lost and you're not even like interested in the matches because it's so much character work. But I think she has a really nice balance there. So that's really what I'm trying to get at here. I thought they worked very well together. I thought they kind of stumbled upon something here, some nice little magic with Arianna and Ren Sinclair. And I don't know. I really liked this. I really, really liked this. Even just the way that she won afterwards, by the way. Arianna won. She cheated. She held onto the ropes for some leverage. But even afterwards, she like sticks out her tongue at Ren Sinclair. And little things like that I thought were really funny. So I had a really good time with that match. That was one of my favorite things on the show. We got Jared here who says Ren has no drip. They need to give her some razzle dazzle, of course, because it's a show, right? Pro wrestling's a show. We love to see people with these, outrageous costumes, these larger than life personalities. And so I do think that's the thing right now that's just missing from Ren, but they'll figure it out. It's not that big of a deal. They'll figure it out. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the official card for NXT as well as some predictions. So the first one that I'm going to start with is the one that I don't have a graphic for because they did not show us a graphic for it. But it is Shawn Spears versus Joe Gacy. This match was made afterwards by Ava Raine after Joe Gacy walked into her office and literally begged. So this one here, I would kind of hate to see. Here's the thing. Joe Gacy has been doing a pretty decent job, right? I really enjoyed the work that he did with Dijak. I thought that was good. Shawn Spears has been okay. So it's weird because I feel like both of these guys really need this victory. And like, I think Joe Gacy was just losing so much, really like bottom of the barrel for like a long time on NXT. And it kind of starting to feel like he's getting, I don't know, he's got a little bit more pep in his step as of late. But Shawn Spears is new here. And so, like, I hate to see people like Shawn Spears like go right in and like lose and stuff. But I'm going to be real here. I think I'm going to go with Joe Gacy here. And that's not the answer that I thought I was going to give. I actually thought I was going to go with Shawn Spears. But for some reason, I'm saying don't disregard Joe Gacy on this one. So I'm going with Joe Gacy in this match to get the win. All right, and let's go ahead and get into, and everybody here is voting for Shawn Spears, by the way, so I'm actually in the minority here. I feel Shawn Spears is honestly the obvious answer, and that's why part of me is going against it. I don't know why. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Let's get into, let's do this one. So I mentioned this one earlier, Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin versus Axiom and Nathan Frazer. Again, I'm going to push against the current here. I don't know if I am really, but I'm going to go with Braun Breaker. I'm going to go with Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin on this one too, only because, again, I'm not so sure that I can see Axiom and Nathan Frazer actually defeat them. Again, there's a big size disadvantage there, and Braun Breaker, man, when he gets that spear, I'm like, it's over. All right, next one. We got the NXT North American Championship, the triple threat match, Oba Femi versus Josh Briggs versus Dijak. This is another one that's a little difficult because, again, Dijak's almost similar to Joe Gacy, was seeing himself on the losing side a whole lot. But Oba Femi is this new champion. And I mentioned earlier that I like what they've been doing with him in his matches where he just goes in there and he beats the life out of people. So I almost want to continue seeing that. But I don't know, man. How many times do we have to see Dijak lose? I'm going to go with Oba Femi retaining the NXT North American Championship here. And let's see what we got here. We got a lot of people also saying that Oba Femi is going to retain as well. Okay, good. So I'm actually, chat agrees with me on this one. All right, next one. Let's go with this one here. And this is the 6-woman tag team match. Thea Hale, Fallon Henley, and Kelani Jordan versus Jacy, Jayne, Kiana James, and Izzy Dame. Unpopular opinion, I want to see the heels get the victory here. And the only reason why I want to see the heels get the victory here is because I still want to see this match between Thea Hale and Jacy Jayne one-on-one. I think they can keep it going. I don't think that this 6-woman tag will be the end of the story. So that's why I'm going with the heels on this one. And next one, let's go with the NXT Women's Championship. We have Lyra Valkyria versus Roxanne Perez. And this one here, oh man, it's a little tough. It's a little tough to answer this one because it's like, okay, love Lyra, love Roxanne. If Lyra wins this match, Roxanne is probably going to the main roster. Roxanne wins this match, becomes NXT Women's Champion, and we finally get the reign that we've wanted to see for her as NXT Women's Champion. So, even though I love Lyra, my pick for this one is Roxanne Perez. Now, next one, we got Ilya Dragunov versus Tony D'Angelo for the NXT Championship. Now, you guys know Ilya Dragunov, he's my dude, man. He's my guy. I love him. He's a great freaking wrestler. And I want to see him on the main roster. And I think this match, I think he's losing. I think Ilya is losing here. I say this because just what we've been seeing as of late with Tony D, and he's really pushing being the Don. But then again, it's just so hard for me to say because I think that they're two totally different wrestlers. So it'd be like a huge difference. Oh, crap. You know what? No, I take it back. Oh, I don't know. I'm kind of torn on this one. I'm kind of torn because I really do think Ilya has done it all as well. We're seeing a lot of people saying Ilya retains. Here's the thing, guys. I'm thinking down the line, Trick Williams is going to become NXT champion. Do I want to see Trick Williams defeat Ilya for the championship, or do I want to see him defeat Tony D? I want to see him defeat Ilya Dragunov. So my official pick is Ilya Dragunov. There. Ilya Dragunov is the official pick, even though I'm kind of split on this one. All right. This is probably the most conflicted I've ever been for an NXT card. Maybe I'm just losing my touch. Usually I feel like I have a good sense of who's going to win. This time they've been sort of throwing me for a loop here. All right, and last match here that we need to discuss for predictions is Carmelo Hayes versus Trick Williams, and this one is Trick Williams all the way, man. No ands, ifs, or buts. It's Trick Williams. Whoop that trick. Uh-huh. All right, guys. So there you go. That was the NXT Stand and Deliver predictions. We got a super chat here from Swazi who says Trick Williams will beat Roman Streak in WrestleMania 42. Oh my God, don't even put that out there. That is way too long from now. Way too long from now. At this time, next week, we would have already known whether or not, well, way sooner than this time, but if Cody doesn't finish his story, I'm pretty sure we'll be talking about this even on the NXT podcast next week, because that's how big it would be if he didn't finish the story. We would still be talking about it afterwards. Alrighty, everybody. That was the NXT post show. But before I go, we have a brand new review that I want to read. And also, just a heads up to everybody, friendly reminder, tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Myself and Luke Owen of Wrestle Talk will be live here on the channel doing WrestleMania predictions. And then Wednesday night, I will be joined by Muscle Man Malcolm, who is going to be filling in for Reg on the AEW Dynamite post show. So tomorrow I will be live 2 times. And then Thursday, I fly out to Philadelphia. And guys, I can't even tell you how stressed out I am because there is a lot happening and I have already booked myself for a lot of things. I've promised myself to a lot of things and now I'm like, shit, don't even know how that's going to happen, but it's going to happen. So you will be seeing a lot of content coming up here on the channel. You will be seeing a lot on social media and just all of that. So before I go, as I mentioned on multiple streams, if you guys do leave a review over on my Apple Podcast page or my Spotify page, I do read the reviews on here. I read the Apple Podcast ones because on Spotify, I think you could only leave like a star rating. You can't actually write anything, but you can still leave a star rating on Spotify. But Apple Podcast is where you can leave a message. So I want to take a second to shout out Brandon Iron Man Stark for leaving a very generous review on my Apple Podcast page. He wrote, Denise equals awesome sauce. A 5-star rating feels way too low for the hardest working woman in pro wrestling, but that's the highest rating I can give you, and you deserve to have the highest rating. Denise is a very passionate pro wrestling fan who knows what she's talking about and does a great job when she reviews WWE, AEW, and NXT every week. Denise's community is free of toxic tribalism, and she covers each company fairly and honestly. She also has an engaging interviews with varieties of wrestlers from multiple different companies, as well as other entertaining content posted on her channel. I've enjoyed both learning more about my current favorite stars in wrestling, plus being introduced to the future stars of the wrestling world thanks to her interviews. Denise's podcasts are always important for me to either listen to or live or catch up later at my convenience. I'm so grateful I discovered her content, and I'm very confident you will be too. Go ahead and give her a listen. Keep shining light the bright and vibrant star you are. Your hard work will always pay off, and you will accomplish everything you set your mind to without fail. That is probably one of the nicest reviews, one of the nicest things anyone has ever said to me. So thank you so much for taking the time to go ahead and leave that review. Again, you guys are more than welcome to anytime. Apple Podcasts. The link is in the description box below, and I will catch you guys on the WrestleMania predictions tomorrow.